we've lined up the top stars from Hollywood and from all over the world to entertain you on a giant screen with a few colorful motion pictures you've been hearing about and reading
It's
about.
showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
We're delighted to have you with us. They're driving theater.
You'll find something to please you to add to your evening's enjoyment.
Is pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
Howdy doody, everybody. What's going on? It is Monday night. It is 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. You are tuned into the Drive-In Speaker Box, the best in film scores, DVD news, movie reviews, and everything in between. That's what we used to say like 10 years ago.
Yeah, we used to do that. Remember?
That was the old jam.
Talk about the music.
Yeah, but now we just talk. We talk to you about what's going on in Hollywood, what's going on in the world, movies, all of that stuff. And I, of course, am your host, Bo, the boom operator.
And I'm the big slick doggy, the grip.
And we've got a show for you tonight. Interesting weekend. I was out of town for a big portion of the weekend. I was in Dallas, Texas for the annual Texas Pinball Festival, which is something that I go every year when they used to have it. And now they brought it back. It's the first year in like 2 years that they haven't had it, and it was exciting. I had a good time. I'm not going to talk too much about it. I did get to see, movie related though, I did get to see Sylvester McCoy. He was the 7th Doctor in Doctor Who, also played Radagast in the Lord of the Rings film, and he was a really nice guy. He signed my Doctor Who pinball back glass. He was super nice, and he was an interesting cat to meet. We actually he had a table much like when you met Flash Gordon, and he was just sitting there, and we just chatted. We chatted a bit, and he thought pinball people were kind of weird, and he liked my hat because we both are hat guys.
Some of the people at TPF are definitely strange.
They are. But yeah, so that was a lot of fun. I didn't get to watch any new movies in theaters. Granted, there wasn't a whole lot of new movies that could come out that I hadn't already seen.
Yeah, the only new thing was the Lost City, right?
That's right. Didn't get a chance to see that, and Everything Everywhere All at Once didn't make it to our area. It's not going to be here next weekend either. McLean asked, did I get a chance to talk to him about the Munsters movie? I did not. I kind of just, I don't like
Who was he in the Munsters?
He, he's I forgot. He's not like Grandpa, although he should
clearly.
Be. But McLean, he knows. It's in the chat. He'll check those out in the comments. But I didn't get to ask him because I don't really like to overstep my celebrity boundaries when you're, I don't want to be the guy that's like, hey, so you want to be my friend? And it's like, no, of course they're not. They're gonna, want to take their picture and move on. But he was kind of bored, just kind of sitting there hanging out. A lot of Doctor Who pinballs came this particular year. So McLean says he's going to be the butler.
Oh, and the new one? Munsters don't have a butler.
They do now. But anyway, so that was cool. Had a lot of fun in Dallas, and we're back. Did you get a chance to watch anything?
Nothing new to theaters. I did watch Red Rocket now that it's available on streaming.
Dirt Nasty.
Yeah, with old Simon Rex in it, because that was one of those things where it was like, hey, it's a award show time. Let's watch something that's probably not going to get one.
Well, speaking of award shows, did we have an Oscar weekend? It's kind of almost good that we didn't have a big movie to review. I mean, we'll talk about Red Rocket, of course, later in the show.
And I watched Halo.
Oh, yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later in the program as well. But the Oscars happened, and boy, this is the first Oscars in a long time that people are actually talking about. And the slap heard around the world, as they're calling it, between Chris Rock and Will Smith. Oscars were as predictable as ever in terms of who won, who lost, whatever. I don't think there was no snubs that were happening. I didn't check out whatever the Twitter one was. Did anybody remember that? That was like the best in tweet.
They were voting.
They were gonna, hey, tell me what's going on. Hey, Furious, thanks for tuning in, guys. I didn't check out what the People's Choice or whatever. I tune most of the Oscars out because again, they're incredibly formulaic. You can always find a pattern in how Oscars are chosen now more than ever. Even in sound design and costume design, always predictable. And this one was no different. Dune got all the technical awards, sound design and, sound editing. It did get the Cinematography Award, which it should have because it's a beautiful movie.
That was the whole movie. There wasn't a lot of talking.
Exactly. And, costume design, duh. You go with it's either the period piece or the one that's about fashion. That's always the winner. Like, if and there's always gonna be a period piece or a movie about fashion. And Cruella, which is a movie about fashion.
It was both.
It was
set in the 70s.
It was both. So duh, got it. Achievement in sound, Dune, of course. You just original score, Dune. That one was interesting because I thought Encanto might take it, but of course Encanto got the best animated picture.
Yeah, and that's wild because Dune's music was all just atmospheric.
But it was actually really good. The Oscars were predictable. But the thing that no one predicted was the Chris Rock and Will Smith beef. And I want to take a minute before we get into news, before we get into all these whatevers that we normally do on the show. And I want to spend some time talking about this. I watched the clip. I've watched the interviews. I've watched Will's acceptance speech. I've watched a lot of this stuff. And I've worked in film. I've worked in and around film. I've worked in reality TV, which again is not as reality as you think it is. And the first thing that I saw when I watched this clip is there was a lot of red flags, a lot of choreography, and it could be real. I'm not saying that it's not real. I'm not saying that it's 100%. I think it's fake, but it looks pretty fake to me. There is a lot of stuff going on. There's a big battle going on the internet. I mean, it's the only thing everybody's talking about because they're like, defend my wife's honor. Oh my gosh. Oh, she has a debilitating disease and he made fun of it. And it's like, it's the first time a comedian has ever made a joke, even a low blow joke about someone, especially in Hollywood. My guy, tune into literally any roast or any Oscars. Like, remember when, what was his name? The Office guy, Ricky Gervais hosted the Oscars. All he was doing is talking shit. Like, that's what he does. And it's weird because like everything surrounding the Oscars has gotten so unbelievably sensitive about who got snubbed and who's this and oh my gosh, you hurt my feelings and oh. And the weird thing about our current culture is response to hurting feelings, instead of acceptance and understanding and talk about it, everyone's like violent. Like it's weird how we're supposed to be moving more towards this sort of let's everybody hug and accept everyone for who they are and be their selves, but it feels more and more like everyone's like, if you do something that even slightly is upsetting to me, then I have permission to use lethal force and I want you to lose your job and your career and I'm going to hit you and punch you and you go to jail and you should probably just die. And it's kind of a weird thing. And I want to feel like maybe Hollywood was playing with this, okay? So hear me out. I know that you were going to not talk because you're too afraid to share an opinion when the cameras are on.
No, I don't have an opinion on it. I just don't know that I'm...
You gave me the side eye. I knew the side eye was coming. It was like, I'm not going to touch this with a 10-foot pole because I don't want to be the receiving end of a Twitter beef. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. But hear me out here. Okay, so when I watch this, sound guy instincts immediately kicked in, because anytime I watch something, like, I'm the guy that understands the sound editing category. I'm a sound guy. That's what it did in film for a long time. And a sound can be way more telling of what's happening visually than the visual can, right? And I don't know if you ever slapped anybody, but it makes a very, very specific noise. Derpy Gaming says, slap. Garrett says, how do I feel about the slick D?
That's not what he says.
It says Slick D. How you feel about this Slick D?
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
Let's see. I don't want to talk about Slick D's right now. And Logan said one of the healthier conspiracies one could have. But no, hear me out. So the way that a slap sounds, it's skin on skin. Like that wasn't even a hard slap, and a cheek slap, you get it's meatier. It's a higher pitched cheek slap. In an open fist slap, you get a little bit of a clap, a little bit of pop, and a lot of bit of that high pitched skin reverberation. And with the strength and intensity, the slap, it was a bitch slap. It was a classic telegraphed Will Smith Fresh Prince of Bel-Air slap. Like if you've watched his career, it was one of his from the hip, bam, like he was hitting jazz, and as Sam says, Bo knows about slapping those cheeks. Yes, I do. And, I also know a little bit about fight choreography. I've been around sets. I've watched fight choreography. I've been a part of the behind the scenes element. And in fact, I want to show you something that was pretty funny. That I did for and I'm not even a professional, right? I am just a guy that, does stuff goofily on this show and other shows. But I have a show that I also co-host called Later with Jason Sewell. We did an episode the other day, and we didn't rehearse this. We didn't practice this. We're just two physical comedians that were doing an opening intro to a show where we had a boxer on. So the idea behind the intro was I was going to be testing out his gloves. I was be like, oh, yeah, I'm super hyped. Jason was going to sneak up on me, and I hit him. And they did an overlay where I'm like, yeah, warming up with this thing. And Jason's like, hey, what are you doing? I go, oh, shit, boom. And I punch him right in the face. And they added like the graphic over there just because it's fun, but I wish they hadn't. So you could have gotten a really good look how it looked like I really did connect with this dude. And, it wasn't hard. It was fairly believable. And, it translated on screen, which is one of these things that people can do. And you go and you look at something like this slap, this is a freeze frame of before Chris Rock got hit in the face. And, hands behind the back, which is kind of unusual, where they stayed the whole time, kind of gritting his teeth, sticking his chin out, looking like he's bracing for impact here. And then it comes in and hits him right here, like not even pulling a hand up here, not pulling a hand up here, leaning forward into it. That's what they teach you to do. And then when he got hit, he leaned way back. And that's in physical comedy and fight choreography, you exaggerate your body motions to make things look more interesting to the audience in the back. And if you've ever been slapped or ever punched somebody, it is not that you don't always follow through. Your body kind of reacts and jerks and like wants to fight against that motion, especially if it's not like gonna knock you out. But he didn't. Chris Rock just stood there with his hands behind his back and didn't even like touch his cheek. I mean, who doesn't touch their cheek or body part? Like when someone goes and hits you, you're like, oh, hey, dude, what was that for? And, shut up, Jake. Like, here, I'm just going to like not have you on camera anymore. No, but there was a lot of signs and a lot of things that looked like maybe this had been planned to go through all sorts of internet fame. As Carson says, the Smiths marriage is open to everything but jokes. Yeah, that's been going around the internet too. Funny. But also, look at the history of both of these actors. They're both physical comedians. They've both been in the business for, years and years and years, and they are friends. Chris Rock is not a stranger to Jada Pinkett Smith or Will Smith. In my intro, you'll see the graphic when the replay's uploaded on YouTube. But I'd made a little hodgepodge of pictures of all of them, and they actually somebody posted these on the internet, and I'll see if I can pull them up for you. But it's here we go. I think I've got. I'll find it later. Anyway. It's a little suspect. A lot of things going on in this deal, but it's dividing the internet. Chris Rock did not press charges. Everybody's getting all worked up about it, and the Oscars are relevant again. And I feel like if this had been a real incident, like, the nipple slip that happened at the Super Bowl was, there was big repercussions. There was fines and penalties, and no one's going to be invited back. And, I think if Will Smith had just truly went up there and tried to knock Chris Rock the fuck out, he probably wouldn't have been able to just willy-nilly go up there and accept his Best Actor Oscar and be like, thanks, Academy, thanks, everybody. Not going to talk about punching Chris Rock, but y'all have a good night. Thanks. Thank you for this. I'm a cry for my family. This means a lot to me, for family. And these celebrities are meant to be around thick skin for a reason. Like the amount of paparazzi and tweets and death threats and all this kind of stuff that happens. And just, it just seems so unbelievably out of character. And the fact that they were all smiling, Will Smith smiled on the way up there, smiled on the way back after doing it like he was trying to hold in a joke. It just didn't seem, I don't know. It just felt weird.
Do you think the Mark Summers and Burt Reynolds interview was staged too?
No, that was 100% real, because Mark Summers hates human beings, and so does Burt Reynolds. And yeah, Mark Summers is kind of like Howie Mandel in the sense that he's so germophobic that he doesn't like being around people. Like, you ever noticed on the show Unwrapped?
How was he even able to host Double Dare then, being around kids and slime? And
so there's interesting behind-the-scenes documentaries with him where he was talking about how much anxiety that show caused him. And, it was very difficult for him. And he always stayed pretty far back. He'd be like, okay, you guys won. And not like, here we are, kids. And, like on the show Unwrapped, he's always in a studio kind of by himself.
Yeah, he's in the diner booth.
He's in the diner booth. There's no other people. He's an interesting cat, but a great host. But yeah, I don't know. I know if I say that I think it's fake, everyone's going to be like, hey, Will Smith did what it was right, defending his wife's honor. That's what a real man does. Real men stand up for their women. I've been seeing that all over the internet. But the other question that comes into my mind, as a person who has worked on stage, in front of crowds, saying what could easily be classified as incredibly offensive shit, and when you're reading, especially in a roast environment or any sort of, environment where you're making jokes, and I'm pretty sure that joke was probably written way in advance and may or may not have even been on a teleprompter, because that's how the Oscars work. The fact that we have almost greenlit people to be okay if a joke doesn't land with them, that they can go up and assault the comedian. Like, oh, well, that pissed me off, so I'm going to go and punch him, and it's okay because he said something I don't like very much. And, what precedent does that set? Even if this was real or if it was fake, either way, I think this sets an incredibly dangerous precedent for stage performers. Like, heckling is one thing. I think Mark Hamill tweeted, he said, comedians are trained and well versed in being able to handle hecklers. Assault, not so much, and what happens when you're in a tight little nightclub and someone says a joke about something and someone just decides they want to stand up and punch Dave Chappelle in the face, or Aziz Ansari in the face, or any, Sam Kinison, as Sam said in the comments, or Eddie Murphy from Raw, or George Carlin from literally anything that ever came out of his mouth. It's interesting to think about what this means for the future of stand-up comedy. And everybody goes, well, those aren't good jokes to be telling anyway. And it's like, well, then jokes aren't good to be telling, because jokes are making fun of something. You take a little nugget of truth and you make a joke around it. And that's how jokes work. And it wasn't even a good joke. Like G.I. Jane, okay, so G.I. Jane is a movie. All jokes at the Oscars revolve around movies. That's how the comedy formula works at the Oscars. And, it wasn't like G.I. Jane was a horrible, unlikable, not strong female character that was a badass and a hero.
She told Viggo Mortensen to suck it.
Yeah, it's a powerful movie about a powerful woman who, and just, it's famous because Demi Moore shaves her head on screen, and that's pretty cool because most actors don't do that live.
Well, especially since her hair was like one of her
her trademarks.
Hallmarks, yeah.
And that's why everybody remembers it so much. But, honestly, like it wasn't even that big of a dig. It's G.I. Jane's actually kind of cool. So I think that this is the world is set up to revolve around internet hype, and I think this worked. I think they found something that is causing a lot of internet hype, and I think they tapped into this primal internet nature because the Oscars have been knowing for a while that the internet has been kind of thwarting them left and right. Like Twitter always says something terrible about the Oscars, right? It's like, well, they did this wrong and they're not inclusive enough and they blah, blah, blah. But now everyone's like, oh my God, Oscars, did you see it? And so Garrett says, from what I understand, that Will Smith told Chris Rock before that he did not want him to comment on her hair. But still, it seems a little strange. And also, who goes back? Like, you just get to go back to your seat and sit down?
When's the last time anything like that ever happened at an award show like that, televised live? No one just gets up and assaults people like that. No one
walks right up to the stage.
They don't have a plan in place for what to do if one of the actors socks one of the other actors in the mouth.
But I don't think the show would just keep going.
What else would they do?
Cut to commercial, like they always do. Like Kanye and Taylor, where it's like, hold up a second, George Bush doesn't like black people. And then what did everybody do? They're like cutting a commercial, changing cameras, and then like, oh, geez, yikes.
That was a different instance of Kanye being Kanye.
But the reaction was the same. Same with the nip slip. Oh, change camera angles. The Oscars didn't change cameras at all. It was straight there. And Will was seated on the front row.
He was right in front of the steps.
He was the closest you could get to the steps, which also is kind of like, that's a little interesting as well.
He was up for Best Actor.
Yeah, and everyone's like, he really did look pissed because he goes, keep my wife's name out your effing mouth. And it's like, have you never watched Will Smith do his like big buff up? Like that's Will Smith, man. And you're talking. Go ahead.
Oh, he should have hit him with one of those Welcome to Earth.
Or one of those Muhammad Ali punches that he trained so hard for.
So I guess Chris Rock said backstage that he got hit by Muhammad Ali and didn't get a scratch or anything. Yeah.
And, you think about it, and it's like Will Smith, everyone's like, he really did look upset. And I go, yeah, he literally just accepted an Academy Award for a role where he looked genuinely upset. Like, King Richard was a movie about a guy getting upset and defending his family. Like, it's just, they're actors. That's literally what we're watching. So, I don't know. It just, the sound didn't sound good either. It sounded like, I don't think I finished that statement. It sounded like a Fabric hit. And, Fabric hit has a very, very, very specific sound. And it's something that I'm very familiar with because people wear lav mics all the damn time. And they wear them stupidly. And you have to edit around those clothing hits. And lapel mics, I could see where his lapel mic was. It's here, right? It was right here. And so if it did connect, it, just like the punch that I showed you that I did, I actually did hit Jason. I grazed his chin. It was like, okay, this is where your head's going to go, yada, yada, yada. You do want to make some sort of contact because it looks more real that way. But, if I were like a forensic slapper analysis, the clothing hit, like he would have had to hit all of Chris Rock's body with this fabric, but you would have still heard a slap if there was skin getting hit, because, even just me, like, you can hear it, and I'm not like very well mic'd here, and like come on, y'all. The truth is in the tape. The tale of the tape. I don't know. Anyway, I think it's bullshit. I don't think we need to be this worked up about it. Jake gets to slap me.
Yeah, toss out a number, guy.
Yeah, 15 subs.
He's gonna gift all of them.
15 subs, and then we'll let Jake slap me. But anyway, the slap heard around the world. Well, if you watch professional slapping,
yeah,
those
dudes
they lean out,
each other,
grit up the cheek. I I've watched a lot of people get slapped in my day, and that didn't look like a good slap. Especially coming from two people who are familiar with fight choreography, physical comedy. Oh, Furious Apology. One sub. One sub. There we go. 14 more to go. I better finish that bottle of rum if we're going to go there. But anyway, I don't know. Let's talk about some other news. There wasn't a whole lot.
No.
Because everybody, it was an Oscar week. Let's see what else going on in the movie news. Oh, did you have anything to talk about? You're just going to sit there.
I mean, that occupied half the show. Oh, wow. Apparently, Vern saw me get slapped one time, and I just shrugged it off and drank a beer because that's what I do. No big deal. No, man, there wasn't anything big. I saw that Lost City was the big money maker, and I imagine we'll talk about that later. Said that was by their metrics, that was thanks to female going to the movies, and other than that, there wasn't much talked about.
Well, I mean, again, Oscar weekend is a slow weekend. I mean, there's only two big movies coming out in the theaters this week. We're finally getting Morbius. I know that I reported on it last month, but it got moved again. It's coming out this weekend. It is April Fool's weekend, so maybe it's going to get pushed back. I don't know. But Morbius, the new Spider-Verse chapter, Sony anti-hero, Jared Leto, whatever, is coming out. And The Contractor, which is Chris Pine playing that sort of what's the character, the Rainbow Six character that Chris Pine was, the Jack Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
It just basically looks like Jack Ryan, but not Jack Ryan. James Harper, which also sounds very Jack Ryan-y. A discharged U.S. Special Forces Sergeant James Harper risks everything for his family as he joins a private contracting organization. Two subs? Two out of the so all right.
13 more.
13 more. It's a lucky number. And then Jake gets to slap me. Those are the only two movies coming out. Like Morbius, I'm probably gonna have to see that just because it's one of those movies like we talked about. It's a movie that we have to see. We don't necessarily want to see it, but we're kind of contractually obligated as an American citizen to see this movie because of the hype. Are you gonna go see it?
Yeah, I guess I need to watch the latest Spider-Man before I do, or something. Maybe, probably. I don't think it has anything
linked. It's going to connect probably in
at
just
the end.
Referential ways and be like,
I watched enough of the new one on YouTube and Facebook videos and whatever. So,
Sam asks, is it pants worthy to see it? I would say no. I mean, this one's going to be comic book popcorn bait. I'm not expecting much out of this,
But you do have Joker and Batman being in a movie.
You do have
a Marvel movie. You have Joker and Batman in a Marvel
movie. I didn't even think about that. That's weird. Two DC guys being MC guys. That's not MCU. It's going to say MCU somewhere on. It's going to say Marvel at the beginning because of licensing negotiations and contracts and Vanguard and BlackRock's kind of, conspiracy shit. But yeah, make no mistake. This is not a Disney and Marvel MCU movie. This is a different studio completely. So get ready for that one. And that's it. That's all that's coming out in the movie theaters this week. It's kind of a weak week.
Yep.
Tell us about Halo. What happened with Halo?
Oh man, I want to talk about Red Rocket first before we get into Halo, because Halo's gonna be like a whole thing. Red Rocket I can get through pretty quick because one of our viewers, I think Sam, said something about how people getting slapped or whatever doesn't happen at the AVNs. Funny you should talk about that. This movie has a lot.
Slapping?
No, well, kind of, I guess. Where they talk about
AVNs?
The AVNs, because Simon Rex's character, Mikey, is a adult film industry star who returns home.
For those of you that don't know, the AVNs, I wasn't aware. I had to Google this before the show, that it's the adult video.
Mm-hmm.
What's N stand for?
You got me. I don't know.
You don't know?
Mm-mm.
Well, it's porno. It's porno Oscars. If you didn't know.
There you go. But it's about this guy who comes home because he's down and out. I guess he's too old to continue on in the industry. They don't want him anymore. And he tries to reclaim a piece of his life in his hometown with his estranged wife. There we go. Oh, 2 more. Look at that.
Boom, boom.
And he tries to get jobs. He's trying to be like a normal person in society, all these things, but no one will let him because he has a 17-year work gap on his resume. And when he finally is coaxed into telling them why it's there, of course, they all just blacklist him. He's not. They're like, sorry.
Can't be in here. You showed your pee on the TV.
Right, yeah. Sorry, we don't want you at the restaurant because someone might recognize you and they don't want you touching their food. So he has to start selling reefer to reefer addicts and trying to reclaim somewhat of a life. And then he meets this young girl, is immediately attracted to her, both for himself, and he sees her as a ticket back to his old way of life. And then everything falls apart around him with all of his relationships with people and friends and family and whatever. It's a slice of life movie. It's not like high entertainment. It's not going to make you laugh. It's not going to make you cry.
What was Simon Rex like? I'm wondering why he chose this role, because you don't see him in a lot of movies lately. Like, he's kind of been a little bit sleepy after, what was that big viral video that he did?
News. There's your N. That's what N stands for.
Oh yeah, adult video news. He was in a lot of stuff. Like, he was in all the, scary movies. And
and he was big on...
like mid 2012 to 2016, he was like everywhere, and then he's kind of disappeared.
What was it before TikTok?
Oh, okay. Vine.
Yeah, he was big on Vine. Yeah. It's not
was
bad.
That Miami Bitch? Was that the song that he did? I'm in Miami. Trick.
No, that was LMFAO. He did 1980.
And that's what, like 1980.
Dirt Nasty.
Dirt Nasty.
But it's a slice of life movie.
It's
a lot
cocaine.
like that. What was the movie with Moondog with
Matthew McConaughey?
With McConaughey.
Yeah, it was Moondog.
Is that what it was called? It's kind of
Moondog.
like that style movie. It's just like a movie about a burnout dude who's just living his life and everything happens around him, and it's something where it's trying to show you that it's a human journey. I don't know.
A character study.
It's worth watching. It's interesting, but it's not going to be something that's going to absolutely captivate you or teach you anything other than how
About
interpersonal relationships work.
You're a star.
So
is it Boogie Nights?
No, it's not quite that. This one, like I said, it's not really going to be one that the Academy is going to look at and be like, well, look at that. There was no chance of them casting Burt Reynolds in this movie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but it's not bad. It's an entertaining movie for what it is. But something that was far less than entertaining and was the worst thing I've ever watched in my entire life. Yeah. So Halo lures you in, right? They're like, check it out. We got the music. We got Master Chief. We have all of the Spartans. The costumes are sick. The Mjolnir armor looks like Halo Mjolnir armor. It looks very cool.
Cosplay.
Yeah. It's super brutal. Every time someone gets shot, it's just body parts and blood and everything
like
flying.
Starship Troopers.
Very Starship Troopers. You get to see things from the video game.
Shout outs to Paul Verhoeven for setting the bar.
The way they wield weapons, the vehicles they bring in. You get to see a warthog. You get to see a pelican. You get to see all of it in action. There's a bunch of Singhili or the elites that are running around. You get to see things from the video game, and it lures you in with that. And you're like, well, this is very cool. Except it's not.
Do they have one of the saber jams?
Oh, yeah, the sword.
Yeah.
Yep, and you get to see it used to kill several people. They don't hold back. Like a Singhili comes in and just wipes out women and children and everybody.
Needle gun.
No, they didn't have a needler.
Pews.
It's not generally wielded by the Singhili. That's more of like a grunt and jackal.
You pick them up.
Sure.
And pews.
Oh, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I watched the first episode, and I hated everything about it.
Well, it sounded like all these things were sick and sweet.
They were until it became like a Mandalorian or Lone Wolf and Cub rip.
Was there like a baby grunt that they were just like, we must protect the child?
No, just some Korean girl on a desert planet that got murdered by the Sangheili.
Oh, and so she's the chosen one.
Yeah, kind of. So Master Chief, he touches this object that the Covenant are excavating on this planet that they decide to kill all the humans on. It causes him to see a memory from his childhood, and it just rewires his entire self, because in this, the Spartans aren't just Spartans, but they are weapons for murdering the innocent. And so when they send him the kill order, thanks to his contact with this
Go
item,
humanity.
he denies the order to kill this unarmed innocent girl that he's alone in his spaceship with.
Yeah.
And with that, he betrays the UNSC. They put the entire UNSC and all of their ONI facility against him, and then order every troop in the facility to kill Master Chief and shoot his plane down with all the other Spartans.
There's like 30 movie tropes that I'm coming up with, like movies that I've seen follow the same.
Exactly. And all the Spartans are told to kill him, but then, Dr. Halsey's like, hey, but don't really do it. Do whatever you can to protect Chief. We got to recover him because we need to study him because he's able to resist orders now. But to get out of the situation, he does what caused everyone to hate Judge Dredd.
Oh, he took the helmet off?
Takes the helmet off. So in the very first episode, Chief removes his helmet, and you just see him without the helmet for the remainder.
Just a raw, naked Chief.
Mm-hmm. For the remainder of the show.
Why?
You just gaze upon this actor they decided to cast as Chief, who's like the most terrifying, creepy dude from SVU ever. And he was in that movie with Gerard Butler where they rob banks and stuff.
Oh, yeah, that movie was stupid.
Yeah.
Because Gerard Butler was
So I was like, why didn't they just use the voice of Chief from the video games? It's because they cast a guy to be Chief without the helmet on, and they use his voice, and everything's terrible and awful.
So a couple of questions we're going to catch up with in the chat, and I want to get back to this. McLean asks, is there any Blood Gulch references? Garrett from Facebook asks, what network is it on?
It's on Paramount Plus. It's a Showtime show on Paramount Plus, which is why it's graphic like it is, because it's a pay channel show. It sounds like they decided to do that so they can make less aliens.
Oh, yes. I
Maybe,
guarantee you. Well, because it's less CGI.
Yeah, aliens are expensive. Human enemies are cheap.
Yeah.
Probably. The whole thing about the Spartans and the
It's why a lot of enemy also human enemies with helmets.
Yeah, so they can reuse the actors over and over. Use stuntmen. They don't have personalities. They're just fodder.
They can dehumanize, and it's cheap, easy killing things.
Yeah, they're fodder. But if you don't know Halo, the whole thing about Halo is that the Spartans and the Spartan 2s, which is what Chief is, were created with the sole goal of quelling human rebellions on other planets within the Imperium of Man, right?
So universal soldiers.
Kind of. But then the Covenant attack, and all of a sudden there is this alien enemy that all of humanity can unite against. And all of a sudden Spartans are in the war against the Covenant rather than squashing human rebellions, because all the planets the rebellion's on are getting glassed by the Covenant. They're just getting turned into literal glass with laser beams.
And
so,
needlers.
In this show, they've already been fighting the Covenant for years, but keep it secret from everybody except for the government. And they still refuse to leave the
It's like a slap that may have been planned. And everybody knows about it, or nobody knows about it but the government.
Yeah, so they're leaving all these people in the dark about it. They don't tell them that aliens exist until the aliens show up and start killing them, and then hopefully a Spartan will come and save them. And on the planet, it shows in the first episode, there's 150 people. One lives. She's the girl that Chief decides to ruin his everything
girl that
for.
lived. She's Harry Potter.
Yeah, so she's like, I'm going to kill you. And he's like, cool. Takes the helmet off and he's like, shoot me here, otherwise it won't work. This is Mark 6 Mjolnir, which is dumb because it starts out in like Mark 2 in the video games, and 6 is just like they've accelerated so much stuff and pretended like nothing in Halo exists, and completely undermined the way that the character of Chief's supposed to be, because Chief's whole thing is that he saves everybody. That's his thing. He's the Master Chief. He's the badass. He's John 117. He's unstoppable. He's the demon. And the Sangheili already recognize him as the demon in this. He's been fighting them so long that he has his nickname. And yet they haven't discovered the halos, and he's just going to run around with Quan, whatever her name is.
This is all in the first episode?
This is the first episode. And they just immediately, the episode opens up, they're like, look at these dumb people. And you're like, why am I following these people? They're so dumb. And they're like, but here's Sangheili, and they're going to kill all of them. You're like, now we're talking. And then you're like, where are the Spartans? And the Spartans show up, they ruin all of the Sangheili, and then Master Chief is like, cool, job's over. Here's my face. And yeah.
So, okay.
Then he takes off with her, and all the trailer for the rest of the episodes is him and her running around the galaxy doing dumb stuff, and I don't want to watch any of it. So okay. From the first episode, they ruin everything Halo, and I want nothing to do with it.
This is something that I don't understand about Hollywood, because Hollywood accidentally always seems to forget that masked, anonymous characters are timeless and iconic. Like all of the perma-mask wearing characters in cinematic history become so much more legendary than like, oh, let me just take off this iconic thing that anyone can become if they wear this mask. Like, that's the beauty of it, is because fans and cosplayers can go, I'm the person. I'm this, oh man, because Boba Fett became iconic. You never saw his face. You never, ever saw his face until way, 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 way later. And then he stopped being cool because everybody's like, oh, yeah, mask cool. You design a cool mask, and it's timeless, forever, never ages. You don't know its history. You don't know the actor's history. You're not checking out whether or not they slap somebody on TV and following, like, what their wife thinks about it. You're not like, it's just the mask. You know, you think Jason Voorhees is just like this mask. It's an icon. It's a symbol. It represents something, and you never see the face behind the mask.
You see Jason's face a couple times.
Well, but kind of. But it's not like, oh, it's me, famous actor that you may or may not have ever heard of, you know, like, here I am. Oh, hey guys, it's even more mask. Like, it's just ugly mask. You know, Michael Myers, you never see his face.
That's true.
And it's just a part of it.
You do in the Rob Zombie one, kind of.
Yeah, but that doesn't count. That's way later. That's 30 years of amazing, iconic history later. And then they ruined it by doing that. You know, there's just masks work. You know, Dread Pirate Roberts was only powerful because of his mask. You know, Zorro was powerful because of his mask. You know, you just take the mask off and everything's ruined. The magic is gone. You can't. They ruined it with Judge Dredd, and it sounds like they're ruining it with Master Chief. These are mask guys. They wear the mask. That's their face. That's their face. That's the face that we know. That's the face that we can relate to. That's the face that we can pretend to be. Darth Vader, you see his face for like 2 seconds when he's dying. Not like, it's me, Vader, and now I'm going to masquerade the whole time as this. Like, he became famous.
The entire second half of the episode is Chief without his helmet on, running around just as a person. He's not Master Chief anymore. He's not like a badass Spartan 2.
He's just a guy.
And he's an old dude, which is whack, because the whole thing about Spartan 2s is that they had accelerated growth, and they're put in cryo freeze, and they don't age. And really, Master Chief is like a teenager in his 20s the whole time in the video games, and then they have him here as like a dude in his 40s. They're like, oh, check out 40-year-old Master Chief, and it ruins everything.
Yeah. Well, so you know, Vince said Darth Vader, but then Velvet Santa coming in with a deep cut and said Big Van Vader also never took his mask off from wrestling. He never took his mask off.
Yeah, Vader took his mask off.
But
plus
way later.
His mask was like little strings.
Way later. Rey Mysterio Jr.
Oh, okay, there's one.
Another wrestling deep cut mask wearing awesome dude. Like, masks are immortal, you know? Masks are iconic. Like, let the, you know, you need to just cast someone that's cool with not having their face shown. Like, that's what you need to do. And then and it can be forever. It could be eternal. And I think Hollywood never realizes that until way later.
Well, I mean, 343 Industries is involved in this, so I don't understand why they were like, oh, remember that one time we decided to show Master Chief as a kid, and you got an idea of what he looked like, and in the game we showed the back of his head, and everyone's like,
the Phantom,
upset about it, because like, why does Chief have to be a white guy or whatever it was that people were upset about in everything. Like, what if we just explicitly be like, hey, here he is? So it was bad. I didn't like any of it except for the armor looked really cool. I was like, yeah, that's Halo. It looks just like Halo 5, or Halo 4. It was very cool. But they decided to make Master Chief enemy of the state from episode 1, which is dumb as can be. So it's, if you like anything about Halo, the show is just garbage for you. So.
These comments are cracking me up. Like Logan says, nobody cared who Stanley Ipkiss was until he put on the mask. And Jim Carrey, I mean, it's true. Once he put on the mask, it was all about it. And then Carson comes in with from YouTube saying no one's ever seen Andy Serkis's face until he played Alfred in the Batman.
No, he was the South African bad guy dude in the Marvel movies.
He's had his face in a lot of stuff. And Velvet Santa says it's annoying in every Marvel movie everybody makes characters that spend the majority of their movie with their masks off. And masks are important, guys. I mean, it's Batman, when he's like Batmaning around, he keeps the mask on. He doesn't take it off and goes, well, this is annoying, and I want everybody to see how beautiful I am. And
he does in Batman Returns when he smooches on Catwoman.
I know, that was stupid. That was real big dumbs. The Jackal. Oh, Deep Cut. That's the movie where like Jack Black gets his arm blown off with a .50 caliber because like Bruce Willis is like, here, hold this pack of cigarettes, and Jack Black's like, yeah, and he shoots that .50 cal and blows his whole arm off. I think that's the Jackal, if I'm not mistaken. Bo knows. Luchador Batman. Yeah, just so many masks, guys. So many masks. But anyway, Halo sounds pretty stupid.
It was very dumb. Yeah, yeah. If you have a free trial of Paramount Plus
and you're bored,
use it on South Park. Don't waste it on Halo.
Or Star Trek.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Now that Star Trek's leaving Netflix, that's where you have to watch it.
Have you been watching any of Picard Season 2?
I never watched Season 1. Everyone hated it online, so I didn't see a reason to watch Season 2.
I'm not
Despite Q and Guinan coming back, I just, the interest for me is not there.
Well, it's all about, like, the first 2 episodes that I watched, it's all about, like, Picard finding love, and why is Picard running from love, and like...
As soon as they bring Klingons back, talk to me. If Worf shows up on screen, or
if just like, Picard, quit being a Patak and let's go do this thing.
Yeah, so if they bring back Worf or Martok, or if they have real Klingons, not this Star Trek Discovery BS version of Klingons that are even worse than the J.J. Abrams Klingons, when they have real Klingons, let me know, and then I'll watch and I will care. But until Klingons are returned to Star Trek, I don't want anything to do with it.
Big bold words.
Below Decks, Brave New Worlds, Discovery, Picard, they can all suck it. I'm done with that.
Damn, dude. This is coming from a guy who owns a phaser. It's back there.
It's back there. Klingons are the only thing that makes Star Trek worth watching, man. I don't want anything to do with Star Trek without Klingons.
B'Elanna Torres is a dime, says Zach Starr. I mean, I don't know. Maybe like towards the like season 5,
not in the early
season 5 and season 6, B'Elanna Torres was,
or she's just angry to be the angry character.
Yeah, she's always just like, I hate this and I hate you. Don't talk to me.
Yeah,
boys stink.
Yeah, my Klingon hormones make me want to punch you.
Yeah,
that B'Elanna Torres.
I'm gonna fix it. Shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then she marries the bad boy.
Tom Paris, cool dude with the Delta Flyer.
The Delta Flyer, dude. That should be like a newspaper, like a sci-fi newspaper that comes out weekly. It's the Delta Flyer. Has anyone ever done that? I don't know. Velvet Santa asks if you own any self-stealing stem bolts, and it's like, I don't have any self-stealing stem bolts, but I do have a lot of yarmulke sauce. If you guys are into yarmulke sauce, so Deep Space Nine, deep cuts. Well, let's see what else is in the news that we want to talk about. We only got 10 minutes. Maybe we should just jump into the box office report because we had one. Just got to drink the last of that water. Let's do the box office, man. That was money that was spent over the weekend. We're going to go over the box office roundup for the weekend of March 25th through 27th. These are domestic numbers. For those of you that don't watch the show very often, we only talk about domestic numbers because they are the numbers that matter for greenlit sequels. A lot of times, that's one of the things that we teach you about in the Drive-In Speaker Rocks when we do have our teachable moments, is that how Hollywood works. Hollywood is predictable. Hollywood is a money-making machine. It is a marketing juggernaut that is designed to take your money. It is not designed to reflect culture. It is not designed to represent peoples. It is designed to shake money out of your wallets. And the box office roundup is important because it just tells us exactly how much money it shook out of your wallets. So we start with number 10. We work our way to number 1. Number 10, Infinite Storm, which is probably, despite its name, is not going to have an infinite time at the box office. Came out in 1,500 theaters nationwide, only came in with 758,000 at the box office in its opening week. We've got it here in Northwest Arkansas if you want to check it out, but it didn't look like anybody did. It averaged just less than $500 per theater showing. Like, that's pretty rough. Sing 2, the number 9 movie in America, with $1.3 million in its 14th week, still in the box office, bringing it up to $160 million domestically. Number 8, Spider-Man No Way Home, $2 million at the box office. It's been out for 15 weeks, bringing it $800 million just here, just domestically. Almost $1 billion just domestically. I don't think it's going to reach the $1 billion club domestically. It has reached the $1 billion club easily worldwide. But
it's available on video now. So.
Yeah, but the fact that it's still in some theaters is pretty wild. Number 7, Dog, which is still hanging in the top 10, which I was not expecting. It's been out for 6 weeks. It brought in $2.1 million this weekend. So far, brought it up to $57 million at the box office. That was kind of surprising. Number 6, X. Which we talked a little bit. It's from A24 horror movie. Haven't had a chance to see this. Do plan on watching it sometime soon. It brought in $2.2 million so far in its second release, bringing it up to $8.2 million at the box office. Number 5, we talked about this last week, which was kind of a surprise, being it was number 2, I think, last week. But Jujutsu Kaisen, the movie, bringing in $4.5 million, opening up in an additional 132 theaters nationwide. It got a more expanded release this week, which is pretty amazing. Crunchyroll put this. Crunchyroll is now distributing films in theaters, which is kind of wild. $27.7 million at the box office. That's pretty interesting. I want to find out what the budget here was for this movie, because if it's making almost $30 million in the U.S. box office, I think we might start seeing more anime films in theaters. You don't make that face. You just
weeb money.
Wait till like Initial D, the movie, comes out in theaters. And
it did. Yeah, I watched
like a new one.
Oh.
Wait, I mean, like if they re-released it, and you're like, Eurobeat intensifies.
I've watched all the Initial D movies in the theater. I watched the live-action Initial D when it was in the theater, and I watched the Initial D Legends.
You watched the live-action Initial D theater, the movie?
Yeah. Yep.
That happened?
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Weeb. Is that a weeb? It's Cars, man.
Oh, sure it is. Number 4, Uncharted, bringing in $5 million at the box office in its 6th weekend release, bringing it up to $133 million at the box office. Number 3, RRR, a movie that I didn't think was going to make any headway at the box office, because it's, again, a foreign film. Brought in, opened up in 1,200 theaters nationwide, and a $9 million release at number 3. Pretty good.
There was lots of Indian cinema movies that were out this past week.
A lot this week. Yeah, our AMC was full of them. Number 2, The Batman, bringing in another $20 million in its 4th weekend release, bringing it up to $331 million at the box office. There's
Vince with the foreign films.
The foreign films emote. And the number 1 movie in America, The Lost City, which opened up this weekend with $30.4 million at the box office from Paramount, rounding out the list. Of course, it's the new movie. It's always going to be number 1. It's the big one, the big new one. And I do plan on seeing this one. I just didn't have time this week. It's I'm actually going to go see Alton Brown in Tulsa tomorrow. So yeah, he's playing doing his Alton Brown Good Eats Live. Or Alton Brown Live. I'm going to go see that tomorrow. I'm pretty excited about that. I had bought tickets like 6 months ago. Pretty excited. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is our show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, everybody that's on the comments. We did not get enough subs for me to get struck in the face, but thank you for everybody that did sub, because we do appreciate that. It helps chip away very, very tinily at the bills that I pay for the studio and all this equipment. So we do appreciate it. But anyway, we'll be back next week, probably talking about Morbius, maybe talking about Lost City, doing other fun things. So you want to like, subscribe. Hey, thanks, Tony. Thanks, everybody. Find us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. We do this live every Monday night, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. And if you don't have time to watch the show on your phone, you can always download the podcast in MP3 format wherever it is you get your podcast. Just search for the Drive-In. Speakerbox Drive-In has a hyphen. Speakerbox is all one word. Next week, going to be talking about drive-in theaters. Ours is set to be demolished, and I'm not too happy about it.
I hadn't heard about this.
Yep.
No.
All right. Yeah, one of historic 112 drive-in theater set to be turned into a mixed-use rich people neighborhood. And yes, we'll talk about that on next week's show. So don't forget to tune in. I'll have plans, blueprints, and all these things to show you because I've learned how to push new buttons and do these things. Yes, big tears. So support your drive-in theater while it's still here, and maybe we can get them to change their minds. I don't know. Oh, Cassandra, I know. I was upset as well hearing this news, because they're going to put an enclosed theater there, but and then okay, I don't want to get into it right now because we only have like literally 2 minutes. But
this is big news drop at the end of the show.
I know. Cassandra says opens April 8th, so our drive-in theater opens April 8th for their summer season. Please go out and support them. Show them that we care about our theater, because it is on the drawing board to go away. And they want to build a mixed-use neighborhood. Like I said, I'll show the plans next week. But this is very problematic for a handful of reasons. You talk to anybody on the city, and they're going to say it's advancement and blah 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 blah. But it's pretty interesting
Got me
stuff.
there, Carson.
So that'll be the teaser drop for next week's episode. We'll be bringing you that, and we're going to go see some movies. So thanks for tuning in. I am always Bo, the boom operator.
I'm Slick Doggy the Grip.
And we'll see you guys next week. Bye now.